Hello, my name is Michael Wireman. I'm going to share with you more mind-blowing teachings and doctrines from the Bible, which you may have missed or overlooked. First of all, I want to point out that the King James Bible, also known as simply King James Version, is an inferior, flawed version of the Bible, and most recent translations, like the New King James Version, and of course, my personal favorite, the New American Version, are more correct, more true to the ancient manuscripts, and also makes more sense when it comes into historical Bible readings. First of all, what is a talebearer? A talebearer is not a slanderer. A talebearer is not a gossiper. A talebearer is a storyteller, like how those people we ever read in 2 Samuel chapter 12 about when Nathan tells David this parable of the young boy with the young lamb, how the other man stole the boy's lamb from him, or how Jesus tells parables about the Good Samaritan and the prodigal son. Basically, these parables are also known as tales, and Jesus and Nathan the prophet and other prophets too, they're basically storytellers or talebearers. Now, the proof is in the pudding about the King James Version, what they say about tale-bearing or prophecy. Proverbs 26:22. Here's what Proverbs 26:22 says in the original King James Version. Are you ready? The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. That's the King James Version. The New King James Version the New King James Version says, the words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the innermost body. Then we have the New American Version of what a talebearer is. Here we go. 622. The words of a talebearer are like tasty morsels, and they sink into one's innermost being. So, keep in mind, when Nathan told David the parable of the young boy who took care of his own lamb, and how that rich man who had so many lambs stole the lamb from the young boy, was Nathan's intention to have King David commit suicide over his sin? No. His intentions was to make him realize what he did was wrong and how to correct it. Sin was how to correct his sin. When Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan or the prodigal son, was he trying to get them to commit suicide over guilt, grief, anger, or hurt the Pharisees and scribe priests simply because of how they ignore the beat-up person on the side of the road? No. He was trying to get them to realize their sin and how to correct them of their sin. And of course, talks about dainty morsels and tasty trifles. They're actually good stories in which young children could read, which they learn from them, like how King David learned from his mistakes and from what he did, how he arranged for the death of Uriah and to take Bathsheba as his wife. Now, God was perfectly all right with King David screwing around with Bathsheba and knocking her up with King Solomon. I'll probably explain that to you later. However, once he arranged for Uriah to have him killed and to marry Bathsheba as his own wife, that's when he went too far, and that's when he sinned against God. But anyway, the meaning of the parable was to be an educational, to learn from these past mistakes and do better next time. And so, wounds, tasty morsels, dainty trifles or tasty morsels are actually meant to be more education, the taste in which to get away from life. So, I'd like to end this with a simple question for both of you out there. If you had a choice between someone pulling out a knife and stabbing you in the gut, or offering you a box of assorted chocolates. Which would you prefer? God bless you and have a wonderful day.